All right, so recently on an OSW they did, I think was it the 2005 Royal Rumble. So they discussed the wrestling god and reign of terror era Triple H. So again, I'm trying to keep these as close as I can to kayfabe. And if a person ends up having more than the other, then more than likely that person would end up being the one who would get the victory. But again, this is the world of professional wrestling, so I'm not taking politics into it. If I were, this would be a much easier one because Triple H would win. But here we go. Who has the strength advantage? Now, you're probably thinking, wait, Triple H at this time was absolutely jacked. Yes, but he wasn't really working a strength game more often than not. And look at how JBL was. JBL, slightly bigger, slightly more physically imposing, so I definitely give him a strength advantage. It's going to be weird to see Triple H with the speed advantage. But, he's someone who was definitely a little bit nimbler than what you'd see JBL. JBL, big, straightforward brawler style, where Triple H would actually have a speed advantage on him. So a little bit faster Triple H. Not something you really expect to hear very often. I'll also give Triple H the edge in endurance. Yes, Triple H was in fantastic shape. JBL was in a shape as well. I'm not going to describe that style of shape. I don't want to get demonetized. But JBL, so he had the body of a wrestling god, if that god was closer to Buddha. Toughness. Now, both of them during this time had cage matches against very physically imposing individuals. But I'm looking at during this run for JBL, he had absolute bloodbath matches. Whether you're looking at a steel cage wrapped in barbed wire, where he won by being choke slammed through the bottom of the through the through the mat, or his bull rope matches that he had with the bull rope match he had with Eddie Guerrero. He just had some absolute, just complete and total bloody brawls, where Triple H still had some of them, but nowhere near to the level that JBL was having them. Striking, I'm looking at a big boot, the always impressive clothesline from hell versus the Harley race high knee. I definitely will give JBL an edge when it comes to striking. Grappling, we weren't seeing a lot of suplexes or body slams from JBL. That was never his style of wrestling. The most you would get is like his good fallaway slam, where Triple H, his finisher, pedigree, grapple, makes sense. Submissions, around this time, since we had Evolution era Triple H, he was still doing the figure four, or the, can we still call it the Indian Deathlock? Okay, we'll still call it that. So he was still doing some leg work. He was still doing some additional moves. We didn't see that from JBL. He didn't need that. The people he was going up against, whether it was Mysterio or Guerrero or Big Show, he wasn't wrestling that much of a ground game. Again, it feels weird to give Triple H an edge when it comes to high flying. Triple H would, let's see, like you're jumping high knee or I'm coming off of the ropes. He still did do some moves where he left his feet left the ground. JBL did not do that. Here's a fun one. Now we get to go on the psychology side of things. I'm going to give JBL the edge when it comes to over with the crowd. If you go back and the moment his music hit with the stock market and the cow, the crowd was booing. The people didn't like Triple H as much, but there was a huge level of hatred towards what JBL was doing at the time. I mean, it was an incredible amount of near nuclear heat to what he was getting for the things that he was doing. So the crowd really wanted to see him lose. I'm also giving the edge in ring psychology. Yes, Triple H was taking on people around this time like Goldberg and Scott Steiner. People who the crowd really couldn't get behind too much. I'm well aware of the fact that Steiner was dealing with a foot and ankle issue. And Goldberg was never the best in ring psychology. And a lot of what Triple H was doing was having the Evolution team help him retain and win matches. But I think it has more to the caliber of opponents JBL had. If you look at where Eddie Guerrero was around this time and the work that he did with JBL, it was incredible. And JBL, for being a large, physically imposing individual, did a fantastic job being an absolute chicken and a coward in matches. He knew his part, and he knew his part incredibly well. Mic work. I'm a huge Triple H fan. I have 2 Triple H inspired tattoos. And I have to say, during this time, the Reign of Terror, his mic work was bad. I mean, he had to do the long, meandering opening promos. He was trying more or less to build up baby faces that didn't do a very good job when it came to talking on the mic. And his promos were just not good compared to what JBL was doing. JBL was cutting some incredible promos. JBL could talk you into the building. And then when the match started, you kind of checked out a little bit because he wasn't. He wrote lots of checks that his body couldn't cash. So I do think if you put these two during this time, remove the politics because yes, Triple H would have won. Just like Paul Heyman said, the only reason JBL was champion because Triple H didn't want to work on Tuesdays. I do think that JBL just had an overall stronger character and stronger overall performance, which is why when he had his run, he only really had that one big run, and he got the absolute most mileage out of it.